I got a job or a sex coach.
What?
Politics and philosophy, that's not useful for code at all.
Dating experience been so far?
No comment, no comment.
I f***ing hated it.
So today it's Nim's birthday and Nim invited a lot of digital nomads. And I was thinking, let me interview them. Let's find out what they're doing, how they get started, how much money they're earning, how much they're spending here in Bali, and how their dating experience is like here. So let's go. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
I am Charlie, a software founder now, and I'm from England.
How long have you been in Bali?
Well, I've been in Bali for maybe 2.5 years total.
And what has your journey been so far?
Before, well, I think I always knew underneath that I wanted to start a software company. I decided I had to go and work in tech consulting for a bit, which ended up being like 10 years, which was way too long. But yeah, I did 9 years at Accenture in London, and before that I did a bit of time at a smaller company called PA Consulting too.
Okay. When you were doing the consulting, was it remote as well?
I was at many offices. I was at whichever client I was on, their office.
Like at what moment did you decide like, okay, I want to become a founder and I want to go to Bali?
And work in London and you want to work in the software industry. I think like the general perception is that you have to go the Silicon Valley way. And honestly, that was kind of scary. But I didn't want to work in consulting forever. So I quit that job and I started consulting for my own clients to give me some freedom to figure out how I could build something of my own. And then I spent that freedom a bunch of the guys here who were all running software companies. And I realized that it's possible to do it the indie hacker way. Basically, you bootstrap, so you don't take any outside investment. You maintain full control of everything that you do, but you go slower all by yourself.
Interesting. And what's your educational background? Is it something you studied, or how did you get into this tech world?
I studied politics and philosophy, which is like,
okay.
Yeah, and economics. So yeah, that's not useful for code at all. But you know what? ChatGPT is a really good teacher. I've gone from not writing any code ever to building a whole product and getting it out there and having customers in 1 year.
Okay, that's insane. That's insane. Okay, wait, what would your growth hack tips be for people that want to do something similar?
Get yourself a network of people around you who are all doing the same thing and are a little bit ahead of you, and then just learn like exactly what they're doing. You get so much faster if you're surrounded by people that you love just hanging out with and they're just talking about it all the time. You just pick up stuff.
And what would you say, like, how is it like financially, like as a founder?
Yeah, most people end up splitting, I did too, splitting time between doing some consulting work. That's really hard mentally because you're shifting all the time. The context shift is hard. But like, I think part of the reason we all want to do it is because I love the feeling that everything that I work on is an investment into the future. And like, ultimately, maybe I'll just sit on the beach and sip cocktails while it just works for me, you know?
But yeah, still cool. And maybe, how do you find them?
Usually, I think the easiest ones are through your existing network with people that know, you have credibility already. Other than that, there are quite a lot of agencies, and then maybe the slowest way is just by reaching out direct to people. Yeah.
How would you say like your work-life balance is?
When it's work that you love, it's not real work. Yeah, sure, everyone burns out. Like, I definitely push myself too hard, as we were just talking about. But work-life balance is much easier when you feel like a genuine passion for what you're doing. Staying fit, healthy.
Beautiful. And what would you say then is like your cost of living?
You can spend as much in Bali as you could in Europe. 100%. You just get like a way better return for it. So you can also spend basically nothing. You could spend like £100 or £200 a month on rent. But yeah, I mean, if you had that in the UK where I'm from, you'd be spending like 3, 4, 5 times the amount I'm spending every month.
Exactly.
So.
All right, and then like the last question was like a little bit off topic. Like, how is for you personally the dating experience so far in Bali?
Oh God, what can go on camera? It's been up and down. I came to Bali in a long-term, like a 6-year relationship, which ended. I think one of the major obstacles is that a lot of people in Bali are just passing through. They're just tourists. And maybe one of those people will snare, will like course correct them, and they'll be all happy here too. I know there's obviously a brilliant long-term community here too.
Would you like recommend dating apps?
Yeah, I mean, just introduce this one to dating apps. Yeah, I mean, you just have to know what you're getting into, right? Like, some people are just in it for the ride. I actually made way more friends through dating apps than anything else. Like, I end up meeting people, and then it's like, it's awkward because you bring people in. How do you meet? Hinge. Oh, okay.
Okay, funny.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to reach out to you, if somebody has questions, like, can they reach you? How can they reach you? Sorry.
You can get me on Instagram, Charlie Beverage, Charlie_Beverage, or on Twitter at Charlie Bev.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, JJ.
All right. Today, it's actually it's Nim's birthday, and we're doing the interview in the pool. So, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and where you come from?
I'm Nim, where I'm building AI agents. My website is called aiagent.app. Think of it like an intern level employee. You can give it like tasks like blog creation, research, lead gen, and so on.
Okay, and where are you from?
I'm from the UK, but my heritage is of Indian.
Right. And how long have you been living this digital nomad lifestyle?
Came here like a year ago and I loved it. So much so, I went home, sorted my life out, then I'm here forever now, I think. At least like 4 or 5 years.
Oh wow. And what made you start?
I was building startups in London, but I didn't have much of a community. While I was traveling around Asia, I bumped into like some of these people. I was like, oh, these are the people I want to be around. You building shit, they're building shit. And it's like, okay, I can learn from that person, learn from that person, so on. Addictive.
And how has your journey been so far? Like, and how do you deal with that?
I think I'm about to go up because in the last like couple of months I've just been messing around. I think it's time to refocus. Finding balance has been quite hard because there's so many distractions.
Interesting. And how do you find that balance? Like, I think what sometimes people forget is Bali is also a very tourist destination, and I think that's how you sometimes easily can get sucked into a lot of tourist activities or like social activities. Like, how do you manage that for yourself?
I'm trying to figure it out, to be honest. Okay. I think being around the right people helps. Like my friend Charlie and like Ruby and such, they clock in. So I think being around those people, you kind of be like, okay, that's the standard of work ethic.
What did you do to get into this?
So I'd learned product design at university in Newcastle, Northumbria, and I worked for Amazon for a bit. Having ideas and building that is good, but shipping, like building a product, is a whole different space. So for the last year or two, I've just learned engineering, so like React and Python to make these ideas come to life. Having ideas is a good thing, then building is the next part, right? Selling is the next part I'm trying to figure out, like marketing is the skill I'm trying to develop. You wouldn't, like, once you figure that out, but the skills needed again for growing your business change, then it becomes scaling, maybe hiring. So as an entrepreneur, it's never like one discipline. It's like, it's more about how fast you can learn or how adaptable you are.
Yeah, 100%. Very, very, very nice and good advice. Thank you for that. And why would you say like is cost of living for you here in Bali? Because I spend more money here than in Belgium.
I think, yeah, but I live in London normally, and it's probably the same, but the quality of life is tenfold.
Okay. How much do you think you spend a month?
About 2K.
Oh, yeah.
I think I could do it if I was really frugal, and if I was starting my I think I could do it for about £600-700.
And I'm gonna like switch it up a little bit, but how has your dating experience been so far here in Bali?
No comment. No comment.
Okay, no comment. Is that good or bad?
It's good. It's good.
It's good. It's good. All right, yeah, because it's very interesting because we interviewed some people and everybody has like a total different view on it. And for those that are new or want to live this lifestyle, do you have like tips for them to get started, or the top 3 things that you would advise them to get started in this lifestyle?
Great question, great. I think sports, join groups essentially and just say hello.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your advice. Thank you so much for sharing. Anything you want to share with the people before we go?
Follow me on Instagram.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, man. Boom. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
Hi, my name is Claudia from East Java, Indonesia account manager for like an email marketing agency based in Italy.
How did you get into this job?
I have like previous roles before. I was doing sales, operations here and there, and I was working in Bali, operation manager for like a co-working space. And then COVID hit, I lost my job. And then I was like, oh shit, I need to learn some skills that would allow me to work remotely. And then that's when I started to, learn copywriting and etc. So that's what I did. It was 2020, and then I got a job here and there. And then fast forward, I got a job as an email marketing person for a sex coach.
What? Okay. Okay. You said you learned skills. Where did you learn the skills?
I learned online, and I learned just like by doing it and just like do it.
Like YouTube?
No, I took courses like HubSpot. I guess you can't learn from any sources as you want, but the thing is you really have to do it. And that's what I did for like the past few years. So I just write and then basically sex stories in emails. So it was nice. I learned so much about email marketing and
sex.
About sex too, obviously. And then it was enough. Like it was enough sex, and I quit. And then I found this new job. Cool. Yeah.
And how did you find your client?
Networking is for sure. I got that job from a friend. So it was like, I basically just asked around, and it was the best, like, first digital marketing job for me.
You get paid like Italian salaries?
You could make 20 to 35 mil a month, which is really, really nice. But there are plenty of opportunities if you want to, tap into the remote work job. It's accessible. You could totally get it if you really want to. And Bali is a great place for you to network. So my manager messaged me on LinkedIn and we just went along with it. Yeah.
So LinkedIn is also pretty important.
LinkedIn is also really important. So Yeah. That's
And maybe if you had to give somebody advice that wants to start tomorrow, living in Southeast Asia, like in maybe three tips.
Okay, so one thing I learned, international companies also tend to, oh yeah, you're in Bali, you're Indonesian, so your salary should be this. Don't get discouraged and do not settle for anything less. That's one. Just one. Learn skills, get started. If you want to learn how to code, code. If you want to learn how to write, you have to write. There is no other way. And network. Just talk to people and talk to people who have experiences. And then, don't have high ego. Like, just be humble and learn. Just learn.
How do you balance like work life? Because maybe you work in European hours. How do you do that?
I work European hours. So now I get the privilege of staying in Bali, which is like obviously like a few hours earlier than Europe. So sometimes the way I cheat it, if I want to go, if I have like dinner appointments with friends and stuff like that, I would work earlier and then get things done earlier, but I would still be sort of available on Slack. And then if someone needs me on Slack, then I'll be available. Yeah, it's more of how you cheat your work. Like as long as things get done, then it should be okay. I mean, you gotta sacrifice something if you want something, and it's not a compromise that I feel like I'm sacrificing things. And I'm in freaking Bali,
Exactly.
in beautiful island, and then yeah.
Perfect. And maybe one totally different question. Okay. How do you experience dating in Bali?
Wow. I was in a committed relationship for 4 years. Unfortunately, it ended last year, and I'm not dating anyone right now. People say it's hard, but then it's subjective, right? I mean, I found my ex-fiance, by the way, it was in Bali. Okay. And we had a beautiful relationship for 4 years, so, it's possible. Yeah, we just have to,
Thank you for these encouraging words for everybody that's wondering.
You'll be fine. Bali's great.
Where can people find you if they want to contact you? I can imagine, like, if you want to share more tips, maybe social or somewhere, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Claudia.
And thank you for this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Who are you? What do you do? And where are you from?
I'm Benny Rubinoff. I am from Texas. Self-taught software engineer trying to build my own products that maybe I can turn into companies down the line.
How did you get into that? Like, that's a very specific thing. And what inspired you?
To be honest, for me, I was super dissatisfied. I was working in a remote company based out of California. I fucking hated it. I mean, I didn't hate it. I shouldn't say that. I really liked the people. I liked the vibe, but the work itself was like not interesting. It was repetitive. I wasn't learning. So I said, okay, what do I do about this? To optimize for learning, to optimize for a cool story that I can tell my grandkids later on. Yeah. Right? Whoa. All right, I'll be quick. Basically, I was like, okay, let me quit my job. Let me self-teach software development. So, okay, I want to be one of them. I'll self-teach. I'll quit my job and I'll move to Asia so that I have a longer runway, can live off my savings and self-teach it. And that's what I did. But eventually, I made it to Bali in February 2023. Time to learn. And then I did nothing for 6 months. I explored Bali. I think I was burnt out at that point. In July, I started teaching myself. By November, I was lucky enough to have a person. So at the same time, I was starting to blog about my experience. I wanted to show people that they can learn software engineering with free online resources. Okay. And yeah, a friend of mine who was following along reached out and was like, hey, I do freelance software consulting. I have a client who's looking for more developers. Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Started doing that. Now I'm getting paid to write the code. And now it's time to spend the rest of my time kind of experimenting and building products. And that's kind of the phase I'm at now, 8 months into the coding journey.
Super interesting. So if I understand correctly, so you found a job that will sustain your lifestyle here, and in the meantime, in your off time, you're building for yourself.
That's the idea. That's 100%. The idea. Yeah.
100% cool. And how much do you earn with the job that you're having right now?
Yeah, I negotiated a $45 per hour rate. I'm lucky, like American, grew up in Texas, so I get to earn American dollars. So $45 an hour goes a long way in Bali. I'm gonna move up to $55 an hour soon.
Yeah, how much do you think you spend every month?
On a low month, $1,500. On a high month, $2,000.
First of all, they should check your blog. But second of all, like in a nutshell, what would you advise them to do?
You have to find the motivation to learn something, right? Like if you're lucky and you already have the skill that you can turn into an asynchronous or maybe a remote job and move abroad, great, do it, work up the courage. Not everybody's a huge fan of Jeffrey Bezos, but he has some interesting thought video where he talks about regret minimization. What is the thing that I'll regret doing when I'm 80 or regret not doing when I'm 80? Find that thing for you, and if it overlaps with wanting to move abroad and become a digital nomad, do it. And then I did it, and I think it's quite possible. If you want to find a course to pay for it, it's probably a shortcut to get there, but it's not necessary. And so if you don't have the money, you just need to find the time. That's my thing.
And do you also have a tip, like what's the easiest way to find clients that are willing to pay you?
To be honest, I got lucky. From what I know and from people I talk to, and Upwork, Fiverr, good platforms, just massive lightning bolt. It was literally right here. Approach the client with fixed rate, it de-risks things. So when I started with the client, even though the opportunity came to me, I still offer like a fixed rate so that I could de-risk it for the client, get them excited about working with me. I did a good job, and then I negotiated the hourly rate. And so I would recommend this with a combination of cold emailing as the best way to find clients.
Cool. And how do you find like a little bit of balance? Because doing two things at the same time might be heavy, you know? Like how do you do like work-life balance?
I haven't figured it out. That would be the short term. But I think I'm getting steps to get there. The best piece of advice, or at least the thing that I found has worked well so far, is batching things. You don't want to have a work day where you're working on 3 different projects at the same time, because you spend so much time planning and thinking and task switching between them, that you lose a lot of energy and friction to that. And usually isolating one at a time, take it to completion, move on to the next one. Shiny object syndrome. Yeah. When you learn a new skill, I think it's common for people, and I've heard this from other digital nomads, that opportunities start just appearing, because now the bubble of skills that you have and opportunities that there are start to merge, right? As your skill bubble grows, then you start to touch it and touch the other opportunity bubble, and then it's just overwhelming. So you have to be ready to say no. We'll just be able to say no to things. You have to be careful and avoid shiny object syndrome, for sure.
Thank you for sharing that. People want to know these days, like how is your dating experience so far in Bali?
Last year, I prioritized it. I was getting over a breakup. I think I needed to recover some self-confidence that I had previously attached to my ex. I was learning how to put myself out there more. Bali is a difficult place, I think, to meet people who you could be long-term partners. Ask women out at a random basis. It's more likely than not they're not staying here long-term. But that doesn't mean that you can still, you can of course have like a good time and interesting. And I dated like 5 or 6 women last year, I think, relatively seriously, but I had a good experience for the most part doing it, and now I've deprioritized and I feel like I want to focus on work stuff more, but I need to be wary of using that as an excuse to not put myself out there. So that's
super cool. So I think people can stay in touch with you through your blog, but you also have socials that you want to share?
It's all on there. Twitter is a good way to reach out to me. Let's go through the blog, and I'm happy to respond.
All right. Super. Thank you so much, my man. All right, thanks, bro. That was very inspiring. If you want to reach out to any of these people, I'll put their Instagrams in the description. And if you want to get started with your digital nomad journey, check the link in the description for free resources.